because when you're signing in, because we had a caucus here in Nevada, and when you're signing in, they make believe they're checking on the computer. Who knows if they are or they're not? They're handing you a card. There's no number on that card. There's nothing to verify who they're handing that card to. It's by who's sitting there wearing a Hillary T-shirt. Is deciding this. They could send them, and then the little precincts are in different classrooms in the school. They can send anybody they want. They can keep a running count of where they need to send people, their shills, and just send them over there back and forth. It's totally rife for corruption.
Yeah, originally the caucuses weren't meant to that. It was meant to keep people politically engaged in a time where populations weren't really that dense in those areas. So it's a lot easier to keep up with people. It was probably a lot cheaper too to do caucuses instead of using voting materials for the state.
Yeah, but
so it made perfect sense. But now it's absolutely no reason why we shouldn't just be on a completely different system that's uniform, that can be checked and verified by everybody. Because all the caucus states, except for maybe Colorado, I think Hillary could easily manipulate.
Okay, Niko, we're down to like 3 minutes. What do you want to leave us with?
Just tell people to get out there and volunteer. Get out there and make a difference. Don't let the money try to win this election, because we can't win that game against Hillary. Also, just tell people to stop being stupid. Tell them to stop playing stupid. Try to do it in a nice way. It's getting harder and harder, because it seems like the more proof that comes out, people want to play stupider and stupider. However, it gets to a certain point where we can't keep blaming things on incompetence. These are Harvard graduates. These are political professionals who have been doing this their entire life. This is not incompetence, ladies and gentlemen. This is by design. Let's not forget Hillary's past. Let's not forget, how she always ends up in court. And let's not forget what Congresswoman Tulsi said when she decided to finally come out and support Bernie. She didn't say, I'm not scared of the DNC anymore. She didn't say, I'm not scared of Debbie Weitzman Schultz. She didn't say, I'm not scared of, she said, I'm not scared of Bernie. I mean, not Bernie, excuse me. She said, I'm not scared of the Clintons anymore. And that statement is very powerful, and it really kind of overarchingly surmises exactly what's going on in this election.
Yeah, I've talked to so many people that are afraid of the Clintons. It's not even a... Anyway, Niko, keep in touch, my friend, okay?
Absolutely.
Thank you, sir.
No problem.
Good night. Okay, we're going to have Polly Cook Hughes giving us a quick update on the situation over there with this Dontre Hamilton. Okay, we are back with Polly Cook Hughes, and we were just talking about another story going on with Dontre Hamilton. What's the story, Polly?
I was just telling Ed about Dontre Hamilton, who was a young black man who was killed by a police officer in April of 2014 in Red Arrow Park in Milwaukee. He was taking a nap, actually. He was schizophrenic. He wasn't on... I think he was maybe off his meds, but he wasn't erratic. He wasn't doing anything. He was in the park, which is a public park, during the day, and it's across from a Starbucks. And he was in the park. A Starbucks employee or manager maybe called the police and asked them to check him out. So the police came out, and police officer talked to Dontre, and things were fine. He was just sitting on a park bench. And this police officer went to Starbucks and told the woman who had called about it that he's not doing anything that he shouldn't do. There was nothing to arrest him on or make him move on. It's a public park. He could sit there.
Yeah.
Okay. So Dontre Hamilton stayed there and laid down on the park bench. The police officer left. The manager called the police again. And a different police officer came out and had a confrontation with Dontre, ended up killing Dontre by 14 gunshots, and the trajectory of the bullets were going downward, so they know that Hamilton was on the ground, and most of the bullets went in his body at an angle. So the police officer was standing over him, killing him. And of course, the police officer said he went for his baton, that Dontre tried to get his baton, and he feared for his life. But he didn't follow protocol. In Milwaukee, you're supposed to shoot however many, maybe 2 or 3 times, and then you check to see if the person is alive or not. And he didn't do that. He just went crazy. And he was fired. This police officer was fired. Of course, there was an investigation, and there are no charges. There will be no charges. And now this young man, this police officer, is trying to get his job back. Well, Maria Hamilton has been very active. She's Mothers for Justice, Coalition for Justice they founded. She led a Mother's March to Washington, D.C. last Mother's Day. It was huge. Thousands of mothers came from around the country. They talked to President Obama. They talked to the Department of Corrections and the Justice Department also in D.C. So they're very, very active. And Hillary Clinton last year brought several mothers, black mothers who had lost their children, their sons, to Chicago for a meeting. And after that, I've seen this movement more toward Hillary Clinton from the African American community. And I think they need to stop and realize all the things that she has done that hasn't helped that community, and her husband and Bill, in changing the laws of welfare laws, and I put that in quotes, the Glass-Steagall, that is gone, and she's not willing to reinstate that. There's really no proof that she's not anything more, in my opinion, than rhetoric. I just saw an article that came up today that she voted against keeping some kind of chemical out of water that they felt the EPA thought would hurt the water. She was against that, and it was for just letting it go. And now here she is saying, Flint, these poor people in Flint should be helped. So she talks out of both sides of her mouth. What she does, I think, is what we should pay attention to rather than so much of what she says, because I really just think she's saying what's needed. She also, at the presidential forum, I think it may be the one in Atlanta, I think they had one in Atlanta, she flew down several mothers, and Maria Hamilton was one of them, and she flew them down to Atlanta during the forum, her guests, and I just, those are all tactics to make Black Lives Matter seem that she's in there, in behind them 100%, and I just don't think she is at all. I think Bernie Sanders is would be much more helpful to the minorities, and certainly to Black Lives Matter and to police. He's spoken out about police brutality and how, we have good cops, we have bad cops, and we have to fix this.
A couple of things. First of all, that brings up the whole issue about parks and bus stops being criminal zones.
Yes.
Cops will stop people sitting at a bus stop.
Yeah.
Okay, because and there's a special crime about using a bus stop not for the purpose of taking a bus. If you're just walking by and you want to sit down, that's a crime, guys. Okay, you should know that.
Whack.
Yeah, I know. But they target people at bus stops because you're sitting at the bus stop and they know you don't have a driver's license. Well, maybe they got a DUI. Maybe they didn't pay their fine. Maybe they didn't do their community service. Maybe they got a warrant. Let's check this guy out. So they harass people on bus stops. But parks as well. There's something new going on where the cops, because even just driving into a parking lot to throw something in the garbage after curfew, now the cops have a right to come down and stop your car, pull you over, search your car, not search your car, but run you for warrants and all that kind of crap, like they do when they stop you. So there's something new. There's so many arrests goes on around bus stops and parks. People, because they went to the park to use that bathroom in the park, in the parking lot, the public bathroom. You can't do that after curfew? Anyway.
Yeah, there was a white man, I think, was actually beat up down in California, maybe somewhere out west, for using the bathroom, wanting to just go in and use the public bathroom in a park.
Right.
He was homeless. I think, and that's another population that's being targeted, is the homeless.
Yeah, that's the other thing. That's why they have the curfew in the park, because they don't want people sleeping in the parks at night.
Yeah.
But there's such, stay away from parks and bus stops, because it's just going to get you in trouble. But back to the Clintons, too. Now, they changed that law where you got more prison time for crack cocaine than powder cocaine. There's no doubt in my mind that was a target toward inner city communities, the black neighborhoods where crack was more popular than powder cocaine. No doubt. And then these draconian laws were all under Clinton too. These 3 strikes where people now, their third strike is forgery or some nonsense. Once you're on probation and parole, those last couple of charges are so easy to catch. You can't avoid them. Even if you have a problem with your bail bondsman, then it's defrauding an insurance company, and now you got a whole new charge. So this is all under Clintons. They are absolutely no friend of any community, otherwise, and not the black community especially.
No.
Some of the quotes that come out of these people's mouths historically.
I think we have to pay very close attention to the rhetoric and then match it up with the actions that they've done in the past. And then I think people will pay more attention. But another thing that worries me too, or concerns me, is that people come to these rallies, and the great big rallies for Bernie particularly, and I'm not sure that all those people are going to the voting booth. I don't know that they're all going to their caucuses and their primaries. And so many people are apathetic, or they feel like their vote doesn't count. And I think the only way we can really show that it will, if we en masse. And I'll give you an example. For example, this mayor in Benton Harbor they wanted to recall. Well, they didn't get that, but he was up for re-election last year. And Marcus Muhammad in Benton Harbor challenged him, and he's the one who was going to challenge him in the recall election too. And he was a commissioner. Marcus Muhammad won, and the voter turnout was low, but he won by well over 200, close to 300 votes, 250 or something like that. A pretty good amount for a small town. And I asked Dorothy about it. I said, I told Dorothy Pinckney I was concerned that Whirlpool and, of course, the corrupt justice officials would rig that election. And she said, we were concerned too, but I think because he won by such a bigger margin, it was really tough for them. They couldn't really do it because Hightower had won against the incumbent years before by 9 votes. So I think it's so vital that we all do go to the polls and vote. And why would the Republicans be doing all this gerrymandering and putting in ID laws for voting? Like photo ID laws and things like that, and shutting down driver's license stations so you can't get there and get a photo ID ID. Why would they even be putting those laws into place if they weren't worried that we were all going to really get out and vote? So I would like for people to stop and think about that. Yes, there's been election fraud, absolutely, and still is going on. But we're the one, we have, and Reverend Pinckney, I'll come back to him again, he always says, we have the power. If we collectively do this, we have the power to make the changes.
That's so true. I used to be one of those people myself that said that, your vote doesn't count.
Yeah.
It's all rigged. It's all rigged against us. But why would the Koch brothers be spending $900 million to elect their guy just to throw away money? It's just the same reason that Goldman Sachs is paying off Hillary Clinton. So we can do this, guys. One person can make a difference. Each vote counts, but even more so if we get involved in the process. And then the way this Nevada caucus was rigged, because there were all Hillary people in there running the caucus, get our own people in there. And so little by little, we start at the top. We got a big chance right now. We got Bernie Sanders in there right now. And by the way, too, people need to know. They say, well, okay, now, but we got a Republican Congress, got a Republican Senate, a Republican House. Don't worry about that. When Bernie Sanders came into Birmingham, Vermont, the city council was all against him. He was elected mayor. The whole city council was against him. The next year, he supported all these candidates that came in, and he filled up the council with his own pro-Bernie Sanders people. In fact, they called them the Sandernistas. Okay, is what they called them. So so it's the same thing. Okay, we do need grassroots. We need to go to every single office and get our own people in there. But I'm very confident that this can be done if we just. I see a lot of enthusiasm at these rallies, like you said. People they get this message about the 1%, about all the income going to this one small percent. Everybody sees it. It's not a secret. So I really have a lot of confidence that we can get something going this go round.
I hope so. We're working on it.
Yeah. Okay. Anything else with Dontre Hamilton? What's going on with his case? Any kind of did it go to feds?
the latest that came up was